today we are going to continue on into our corned beef and pastrami series of videos here that I've been making. And if you haven't watched the first two videos, you might want to check them out. I'll leave some links up here in the top right hand corner as we go through this video to those other two parts. And in fact, you can see the first one up there right now. But and then I'll put the second one in here shortly. And so at any rate, what I've got over here is I have taken a brisket point, or no, I take that back, a brisket flat that I have begun. I've already got it brined and everything, so it is turned in from brisket. It is now technically corned beef because it has been brined and cured in that brine. And we're going to use some of this flat to make our corned beef with cabbage tonight, which that is what we are making tonight, corned beef with cabbage. So let's get turned around here and take a look at this. Alright, so in case you missed the last part of this video, I had taken my corned beef out of the brine and I washed it off on the outside to remove most of the pickling spice and stuff, such that there's still a couple pieces here, but it's nothing to be too concerned about. So at any rate, if you look, how beautiful is that red in the middle of this brisket point here. It's the brisket flat, excuse me. That is caused by the curing process. So what I need to do now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one. I'll be saving that for corned beef sandwiches. But this part here is going to go into our corned beef with cabbage. So I'm going to get this wrapped up in plastic wrap and put in the freezer for a little while. I don't want corned beef every day, and I could eat a lot of corned beef here with these. So anyway, let me get this wrapped up, put in the freezer, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my piece of brisket flat here, and I've got about 3 quarts of warm water. Now I'm going to take this pot and I'm going to put it on my stove, and I'm going to simmer this for about an hour. That's going to help draw some of that salt out of the meat, and we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and put this on for about an hour, simmer, and what we're going to do, we're going to change out the water and we'll go from there. Okay folks, so this has been simmering now for an hour, and what I'm going to do is change the water. You can see it's discolored in there. Okay, so there, you can see we got a nice clean water again, and we are going to take this up to a boil and then back down to a simmer. So I'm going to turn up the heat, and as soon as we get to a boil, we'll turn it back down again. Okay, so you can see there we're to a boil now, and so I'm going to get my lid that I've got around here somewhere, and I'm going to cover that, and I'm going to turn it back down to a simmer now. I'm going to let this go for about 2 hours. Actually, I'm going to skim that foam off of there. So let's skim that foam. I'm going to leave that for about 2 hours, and in 2 hours we're going to come back and start putting some veggies to this thing. Alright, so our corned beef has been in the broth now for 2 hours, and so we want to add some vegetables. I'm going to start here with it's a small onion here, and I'm going to cut that into wedges. Just like that. I'm going to do the whole thing into wedges. That's going to go right into our pot now. Next we've got our carrots here, and I've gone ahead and cut the tops and the very tips off of these carrots, and I'm going to cut those probably in about 1-inch sections. I've got about 6, I'm going to call these fairly small carrots actually. Okay, and I got 4 stalks of celery here that I've gone ahead and removed the tops and the bottoms from. I'm going to go about 1 inch on these as well. And into the pot they go. Okay, so we're going to be back in about a half an hour. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit on this. I do want to kind of bring it to a low boil now. I want to soften those vegetables up. Okay, so I have got myself, I got 3 small potatoes here. And these are very small. I can fit all 3 easily in my hand. And I'm just going to put those in the pot just like they are. Then these larger potatoes, I'm going to quarter these. If you saw one of my other videos, I can't remember which one. I think it was how to sharpen a knife maybe. But this type of a chef's knife does not want to kind of get a suction on things like potatoes. And you use one of these, it's got these bevels in it, and they will pull away much easier. Alright, so all these potato quarters into our pot, and we're going to give it another half an hour, and we will be back in a half an hour. Okay, so now then, our potatoes have been in there for half an hour, and it is time to go with the cabbage. I'm going to take this, I got I'm going to say a medium-sized head of cabbage here that I've removed the outer leaves from. That doesn't want to cooperate very well, but at any rate, there we go. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut this down into 8ths. This one here, I missed most of the heart, which is just fine. We will deal with that in a minute. And we're going to put these pieces of cabbage directly into our pot. Now, if you've got a little bit of I should say, if you've got a lot of broth that made it kind of brothy like I did over there, don't worry about it too much. Save that broth. Use it to make something like beef stew. It's got a good flavor to it. Now then, put these in there. I am going to remove this heart. I'm going to do that just by kind of cutting a wedge into it. Like so. Here in just a minute. You should be able to pull it out of there. If it'll cooperate. There we go, I think. That's about got it. Maybe a little more. cut right down through this into eighths, just like that. We're going to stick it right into our pot. We're going to bring this back to a boil. Well, first of all, right about now you want to taste your broth in here and see if it needs any spices. I've already tasted this and I have determined that it does need a little bit of salt. But it tastes wonderful, that broth does. So that's why I'm telling you, do not get rid of it if you've got additional broth at the end. I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons in there. Like so. Again, we can always add more salt, but we can't take any out. So there we go. Now I'm going to bring this to a boil, and we're going to go for about another 30 minutes or so. Okay folks, so our corned beef and cabbage should be done now. I'm going to turn my heat off on my pot there. So the next thing I need to do, and by the way, I did retest, taste the salt level, and I'm going to risk my fingers here, and I'm going to pull out my piece of corned beef. Okay, take it over here to my cutting mat, where I have my handy dandy brisket slicing knife here, and I'm going to cut some nice slices of this corned beef. That's some good looking stuff too, let me tell you. I'm cutting these probably about 3/8 of an inch. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to get some of this potatoes, cabbage, a little bit of the carrot, that, a little more cabbage because I love cabbage. Maybe one more potato or so. I'm going to come over here. Let me get 3 pieces of that corned beef. Just like that. And while you weren't looking, I made myself some cornbread, and if you look up in the right hand corner, you'll see how I make cornbread from scratch, which is exactly what this is. I'm going to come apart. Right here at the back. There we go. Good enough. Alright folks, it is time to get turned around. Let me get a picture over here so you can see. Isn't that beautiful? Corned beef, cabbage, potatoes, cornbread. Alright folks, you saw how easy this was. It really was easy. I mean, it's time consuming, don't get me wrong, it is time consuming. But it is time to give this cabbage a try. It's very hot. That cabbage is perfectly tender. I just cut this corned beef with a fork. That is wonderful, folks. I can't hardly tell you. That is wonderful. Folks, do me a favor. If you like what you're seeing, down here in the bottom right hand corner, hit like and subscribe. And stay tuned. There's always more to come. Thanks for watching. This is some good stuff. You really got to try this.